But I have an important breaking news tweet here from the House of Representatives Oversight Committee, James Comer's committee, because Democrat congressman, the ranking Democrat on the Oversight Committee, came out yesterday, day before yesterday, and lied, and he lied, and he lied. He lied about Russian collusion. He lies about everything. He's a liar. He's a Democrat from Maryland in the House of Representatives. The House Oversight Committee, he said, oh no, all this document, this is old news. That was looked into by William Barr when he was the Attorney General. And the U.S. Attorney in Pennsylvania looked into this and dropped it. And he was lying. And that's not what the FBI said in the briefing. They told him 4 times that that's not the case. Then he went and found TV cameras and lied to the American people because he's a liar. Did I mention that he's a liar and he lies a lot? Because he is, and he does. And then Congressman Comer came out and actually called him a liar yesterday, which is surprisingly unusual on Capitol Hill, given the number of times people lie. It should probably be used a lot more. And now the Oversight Committee has tweeted out breaking news. Former U.S. Attorney General William Barr confirms the Biden bribery record is not closed, as Congressman Raskin lied. In fact, it was sent to U.S. Attorney in Delaware for further investigation, where there is a grand jury that has been impaneled. The FBI is engaging in a cover-up, and Democrats are lying, the Oversight Committee says. Good for them. I'm very happy that they put that tweet out and went on the record calling them liars because they're lying.
Bring me a small liar.
A small liar. Small liar. I didn't do it.
I didn't do it. I wasn't even there. I was at a friend's house. The check is in the mail. Not that kind of liar.
See, bring me Congressman Jamie Raskin. They lie. They lie all the time. All right, in this hour, Mailbag, doing the Mailbag because it's Wednesday, and on Wednesday we do Mailbag. You know what Bill Clinton does on Wednesday. The Energizer comes over. The Secret Service stands down for a while. You know what I mean? All right, so let me go to the Mailbag. And also in this hour, the recording of my father being interviewed aboard his aircraft carrier. And one of the questions even goes to that as a matter of fact. So question number 1 from Ken Garton. Ken Garton says, are you as happy as I am that Tucker is back? Too bad Newsmax didn't make a deal with him. That's from Ken Garton. And yes, of course, I'm very, and yesterday's video, it was amazing. We were trading back and forth comments on the Tucker Carlson video posted yesterday. And yesterday afternoon, we were going back and forth, and I think it was at 32 million views. Is that right? 32 million views. And now, we just checked it a couple of minutes ago. Tucker Carlson, he's posting videos on the Twitter because the left-wing radicals aren't in charge anymore. Jack Dorsey, the Rasputin of social media, with his funky Russian Revolution beard and all of that, the Bolshevik Revolution. And he's backing Robert F. Kennedy Jr. for president because, well, never mind. But, yeah, I'm thrilled that Tucker is back. And Tucker can write his own ticket and do whatever he wants. 71 million views on the video that he posted yesterday, which was great. You've probably seen it if you're listening to this humble radio broadcast. And also, we're posting this. We're live on Instagram right now from the radio studio. And Kevin Tober is, I'm reading Ken here in front of me. Kevin Tober is feeding it out live on Instagram. So hello on Instagram from our modest radio studio. So are you as happy as I am? Tucker is back, and too bad Newsmax didn't make a deal with him. Well, let me tell you something. I know that Newsmax would love a conversation with Tucker, but here's the thing. Here's the thing, Ken, is that Tucker is locked in to his Fox News contract. They're still paying him through, I guess, early next year. And so he is not free. He's not at liberty to go off with other media organizations. His contract restricts him from doing a certain number of things, like going to Newsmax, which he should really do. And he is free. The contract his lawyers have determined do not restrict him, do not prevent him from going on Twitter and doing what he's doing on Twitter, getting 71 million views in less than a day. A pretty good start. But Tucker will write his own ticket if he would like to be that at Newsmax, and I would like him to go to Newsmax as well. I think that'd be great. Alan says, please share a little about your experience with Rush Limbaugh or about hosting his program, some of the backstory. Well, I did host the Rush Limbaugh, guest host, the Rush Limbaugh program once, one time and one time only. I was invited because Rush was going to be away. He was on vacation. I was doing my show in Washington, D.C. I'm not even sure if I was syndicated then. I don't think that I was. No, I know I wasn't. I know I wasn't. I was not. I was doing the show out of WMAL in Washington, where I am now. It's the mothership to this day in Washington, D.C., WMAL. And if you're looking for a radio station to stream all day, millions of people choose WMAL. And I was contacted through Cumulus and said, hey, how'd you like to substitute for Rush Limbaugh? He's going to be off, and like to have you go up to New York and do the Rush Limbaugh show one day and one day only. And I said, sure, I think that'd be wonderful. And I started speaking to Mr. Bo Snerdley, real name James Golden, who was Rush Limbaugh's producer forever and ever, and an amazing guy, a great guy, a New Yorker. He's there in New York. And I took the train up to New York, as you might, checked into a hotel the night before. And the next morning, James Golden, Mr. Bo Snerdley, came and met me at the hotel. And we walked over, actually stopped at a Starbucks so he could get some stuff. I think it's the one time I ever bought anything at a Starbucks. And it's because Bo Snerdley wanted to go to a Starbucks. I don't drink coffee, for one thing.
You bought coffee for Katie Finnegan.
I bought coffee for Katie Finnegan, but it was the only time I bought anything for myself. Oh, okay. It was a scone or something like that. And then went and did the show. And I got to tell you, I kind of riffed. And James Golden is like, where are your notes? Where's your this? Where? And I'm like, I'm good. I got a newspaper. I got my iPad here, and I go in, and he's like, well, what do you do? And I said, well, I riff a lot. Are you prepared? I said, yeah, I'm always prepared. And went in and did the 3-hour show. Now, it was of course a great day and a great honor, and I probably wasn't at 100%. I would say, and became friends of James Golden. Saw him fairly recently at the Media Research Center dinner here in Washington, D.C. at the National Building Museum. A great guy. It was a wonderful experience, and it was the greatest honor, of course, obviously. It's like if you're a talk show host in someplace else, you're invited to do Johnny Carson's show. He is, Rush Limbaugh, the legend. I got to do it once, and honestly, that's enough. I think that's really great. It's like landing on the moon once. How many times do you need to do it? It was great fun and a great honor. And I met Rush Limbaugh a couple of times, maybe 3 times. And very nice conversations, very nice, very generous, very decent man, wonderful. His organization, wonderful. James Golden, Mr. Bo Snerdley, just couldn't be better. And it was, that was a day to remember. That's for sure. That's for sure. It's like, got the day I got to fly the F-16, hosting the Rush Limbaugh show. Pretty good. Now, Thought Criminal. He's got thought crimes going on. Thought Criminal says, would you be so kind as to relate your Gulf War embedded journalist experience? Now, here's the reality. 1991, I was sent. I arrived in Dhahran, Saudi Arabia, on October 1st, after Saddam Hussein invaded Kuwait, and CNN. I was with CNN at the time. Was in charge of what they call the U.S. network pool operation. That means in Dhahran, CNN flew in the satellite. You may remember the buildings with the blue domes behind where all the reporters were in Dhahran before the balloon went up in January of 1991. And I ran from the Dhahran International Hotel, the U.S. network pool operation, sort of making sure that it was ABC, NBC, CBS, Fox News, and CNN at that time, going live from Dhahran, Saudi Arabia, and I was in charge of the television operation in Dhahran, where all the networks were, and the eastern province of Saudi Arabia. Now, the assignment was a 90-day assignment, and I started October 1st. And then on January 1st, it rotated to another network, which is how pool operations work. There were four. It was ABC, NBC, CBS, and CNN were the four organizations in the pool at the time. I don't think Fox was in the pool rotation at the time. And I believe on January 1st, it rotated to ABC, and they took over the pool operation. And as a result, I rotated out of Dhahran, Saudi Arabia on New Year's Eve of 1990 and got on a nonstop plane to Amsterdam, where I spent New Year's Eve with a great Marine that was there in Dhahran. He was there teaching, training up the Marines on hand-to-hand combat. And he was rotated out the same day, and we went to Amsterdam and, trolled around in bars for New Year's Eve in Amsterdam. It was a great time. I actually love spending time in Saudi Arabia. It was a lot of fun, 3 months, and it was before the war started. I was back at the Pentagon by the time the war started in January of 91. But I spent 3 months in Saudi, and there was always, oh no, everybody had chemical warfare suits and waiting for Saddam to start firing missiles at us and stuff, which never happened. It would have been fun if it had the Scud missiles and things, but didn't happen. So I didn't actually embed for the war. I was only there for Operation Desert Shield. But I had a great time. Every Friday, we'd go down to Dammam, the Judicial Center for the Eastern Province, on Friday, because we'd go to Chop Chop Square, and we get some shawarmas and wait for them to bring out criminals and cut their hands off and cut their heads off. But when they saw that there were a bunch of gringos out there, they wouldn't bring them out and chop their heads off and chop their hands off. It's kind of a disappointment, gotta say. P.T. Gramble says, what squadron was your father assigned to during Operation Overlord? And he's got Operation : Overlord, and in parentheses it says, sorry about the colon. Operation Overlord was the name of the Normandy, the D-Day invasion, right, yesterday, 79 years ago yesterday. He was with a squadron, a really interesting Navy squadron called VOF-1. VOF-1 was his squadron, really, because like it'd be VF-1, normally it'd be VF-1, would be the squadron designation, but it was VOF-1 because the planes were outfitted with some observation, some reconnaissance weather equipment. So it was a one-of-a-kind squadron called VOF-1, and I don't think there was another VOF squadron in the Navy at the time. I don't think there was a VOF-2. And I'm going to play the audio from his interview coming up, but VOF-1 is the correct answer to that. Now, I've got more questions to get to. Well, why did you remove Jump Into the Fire, our opening music, Nielsen and other show bumper music from your podcast? Well, the reason for that is a licensing issue. That Cumulus Radio, the big company here, they pay for the licensing. It's ASCAP, right, for the use of the music on the radio shows. But it turns out when you take the radio shows and put them on podcast, it requires separate licensing and separate fees. And because it's very expensive, Cumulus pays for the licensing for the radio shows and all of our excellent music. And we have the best music in the business. And a lot of people are stealing our music these days. We have the best music in the business. But we're not currently paying for the licensing for podcasting, a separate fee structure and fee system. So that's why we have to remove, Michael Piercy has to crop out the music when we post the podcasts. And I've got a couple more questions I want to share with you. And that's coming up. And the audio of my father being interviewed aboard the aircraft carrier D-Day +1, that's coming up today as well. Now, its official reports say that the banking collapse of 2023 is now officially more devastating than was the banking collapse of 2008. And right now, a series of global financial dominoes are continuing to fall, and it's clearly not over yet. Don't wait for the email saying, sorry, your account has been frozen. We've all got to take action now to protect what we've worked so hard to build over the years. Time to call my friends at American Alternative Assets and get your free Wealth Protection Guide. Time to call 888, the number 4, GOLD 20. Call them right now, 888-446-5600. 5360. This invaluable guide will outline the precise steps you need to take immediately to transfer your IRA or 401k into precious metals, all without tax consequence. So call American Alternative Assets at 888, the number 4, Gold 20 to claim your free gold and silver guide today. Again, call them at 888-446-5360. Individual results may vary. There's no guarantee that past performance will be indicative of future results. Seek your own legal, tax, investment, and financial advice before opening an account. Yeah. All right, so a couple more questions that we have from the mailbag. And then the audio coming up of my father from World War II aboard his aircraft carrier, D-Day +1. Hey, Chris here with some exciting news. Now you can listen to me live on the WMAL app. Doesn't matter if you're in your car, in the office, on the go. The WMAL app delivers crystal clear around-the-clock news coverage anywhere with cell service or Wi-Fi. So don't miss a second of your favorite shows. Download the WMAL app today on the Apple App Store or at Google Play Store. Looking at the comments on Instagram, everybody is right. We do need to paint the studio. It's a plain white studio. It's also a temporary studio. You may hear hammering going on from time to time. Stop the hammering, because there's construction going on. We're building out a new studio in that WMAL building. And everybody that commented on Instagram was right about everything, including the paint the studio part. That's what I mean. 1976 Pinto. There's a great name. Chris, did you ever have the opportunity to fly in the Concorde prior to its retirement? The SST, the supersonic transport. Sadly, no, I did not. I would really like to, and I'd like to pilot it across the Atlantic, too. I visited the Concorde at the Udvar Hazy facility at Dulles Airport, the Air and Space Museum Annex. Thanks for sharing your gift of honest humor in these times of embarrassing insanity. Thank you very kindly. And GSAV 111, possibly an FB 111 pilot, I'm just guessing. Are you exhausted working on both radio and TV shows daily? Is your best girl getting annoyed? You know what? I'm not. My sleep cycle is a bit whacked. I got up at 4:30 this morning, for example. Love your new show on Newsmax. I'm still, honestly, I'm in week 5, and I've been in a real groove for a lot of years. I can stay up late and get up early, and now that's all thrown off, so I am still working that out. Is my best girl getting annoyed? I got to tell you, she deserves a trophy. I might get her a trophy. She is unbelievable. She has been so amazing during this. I mean, we make it funny. I come home and she's got a peanut butter and jelly sandwich and, Ruffles potato chips for me. And she lays out my shirt and tie and suit for me at home because I'm dressed in radio clothes now, Then I got to go home and dress like an adult man and stuff. And no, we've been having a riot. My best girl and I are really having fun with the new schedule and the new life. Well, that was, I'm not the best at, we're still breaking me in when it comes to doing the mailbag questions because, as you know, I'm very modest and humble, particularly given how amazing I am. And I don't spend a lot, some people spend a lot of time talking about themselves. You know who they are. I don't. So I have to, break my arm patting myself on the back like some people, but the mailbag questions are great, and Kevin picks the questions for us, and Kevin was shooting the Instagram live video there from our white backdrop studio. That's not a race reference. That's just a white wall behind us, and it is a temporary studio while lots of construction goes on around us. I assume the wall behind us in the new studio will be white too, because so we got that. But that was kind of fun. I'm learning. I'm still learning. Okay, now see, one of the mailbag questions was an interesting question for today. What squadron from PT Gramble? PT Gramble. What squadron was your father assigned to during Operation Overlord? And sorry about the colon. That's funny. You know, that's a listener. And I have today now. Kevin, did you post the thing? Because we're posting. I'm going to play this recording. That was it's 1944. It is during my father was 22 years old. He was a U.S. Navy fighter pilot. He was assigned to an aircraft carrier called the USS Tulagi. Tulagi was an island in the Pacific that we had stomped on the Japanese, and we built more than 100 aircraft carriers, so we had to come up with lots of, hey, what are we going to call this aircraft carrier? We got more than 100 of them, called, like, USS Bob. We had a lot of aircraft carriers. So he, and it was an escort carrier, which means it's a smaller aircraft carrier, which means it's harder to land on and take off and, night and day and bobbing seas and all that. And his aircraft carrier was operating in the Mediterranean. And as a child, this record album, I in fact have two versions of this record album. And I think the pictures of the record album are in the, they're in the, because if you go to our Twitter, our Instagram, and what else? Rumble. And on Rumble, Kevin just posted them, reposted, and it's the recording that you're about to hear with photographs, my collection of photographs, some of which I got off of the internet. Many of them are family photos of my father and so on. And we put together a sort of a slideshow, a visual presentation to go over to complement the audio recording. Now, this is my father. My father was named Jules Orteig, O-R-T-E-I-G. Jules Orteig Jr. was, in fact, his name, because, as you might imagine, his father was Jules Orteig Sr. Now, his family is Basque, and I am, as a result, similarly situated. Basque, B-A-S-Q-U-E. It's an ethnic group that lives in the Pyrenees Mountains. The Pyrenees Mountains divide Spain and France. My father's family was from the north slope of the Pyrenees Mountains, meaning the French side of the Basque territories. Right? There's a Basque terrorist group in Spain called ETA, E-T-A, and the Basque, the Spanish Basque are wonderful. The French Basque are wonderful. My family always said they were Basque. They didn't say they were French. They said they were Basque. And Orteig, O-R-T-E-I-G, is a Basque name. Jules is a French name. And my family history is very, very interesting in a lot of ways on the Orteig side. But from a town called Louvis-Jouzon, on the north slope of the Pyrenees Mountains, on the French side of the Basque territories. And the interviewer asks him, well, what is that, French? And I'll let him speak for himself. But the interview was D-Day +1, 1944, aboard the aircraft carrier Tulagi, not identified in the interview, with my father, who was just back from a bombing mission in his Hellcat airplane, a single-seat fighter plane. His squadron was VOF-1.
This is D-Day +1. We're in the ready room of an American aircraft carrier cruising in the Mediterranean. The pilots who use this room have been on many missions over southern France during the past 2 days. And just a few minutes ago, a group of pilots returned from a fighter bombing mission. When the excitement died down a little bit, one of them came over and sat down beside me. And if you'd have been here, this is what you'd have heard.
Say, Lieutenant, have you got a cigarette?
Yeah, but as usual, I haven't got a match.
Oh, I have a match, thanks.
Do you mind giving me a light?
No, here.
Thank you very much. Boy, you look kind of wet.
I really sweat that one out.
Say, you mean that's all just sweat? Doesn't look like you've been dumped in the ocean or something.
No, well, I was a bit warm there for a minute. What kind of a gadget is that?
Well, that's a recording machine that I have that puts voice on wire. Say, how'd you like to make a record for me to send back home?
Sure, but what'll I say?
Well, just talk, you know. I'll tell you what. I'll ask you questions, you give me the answers, right? For example, what kind of a plane were you flying on your mission today?
I was flying the Grumman F6F, the Hellcat.
F what?
The F6F, the Hellcat.
Oh, yeah, well, I never do know what those letters mean. That's a Grumman Hellcat, and a Hellcat it is, too, from the look of it. Say, how'd your mission turn out today?
Pretty good. We were supposed to bomb some gun installations on the coast, and we didn't have very much difficulty. Four of us went out. I saw the first 3 bombs hit, and I don't know where mine went. But I hope it came close anyhow.
It's pretty difficult to see your own, but you can see the other men's, can't you?
Yeah, when you're... Well, there's a little flak there. I was kind of watching out for that.
Any of you get hit?
No one got hit, very luckily.
Was the flak very heavy?
Well, it was the first flak I'd ever seen, so it looked pretty heavy to me.
I know what you mean. Well, say, I beg your pardon. My name's Sutter. What's yours?
My name's Jules Orteig, O-R-T-E-I-G.
What is that, French?
Yes, after fashion.
Oh, by the way, where do you live?
I live in Pelham Manor. It's a suburb of New York City.
Let's see, that's right near New Rochelle, isn't it?
Yeah, have you ever been there?
Yeah, I think so. I was there once. I think I drove through it. By the way, Jules, most of the boys have told me that they haven't seen any enemy planes over there. Did you see any?
No, we didn't see any. We were looking around, but we couldn't find any. I think they're hiding.
Well, so you've been on, let's see, you had 2 missions yesterday, is that right?
Yes, that's right.
Do you suppose you'll go on another one today?
Well, I hope so.
Well, anyway, I hope you'll find Jerry this time. But if you don't, well, I'll be just as happy. I don't know how you'll feel.
Well, I'd just as soon run into a few Jerrys, but fighter bomber mission supplies plenty of excitement.
All right, well, good hunting, Jules, and good luck. This record was made in the Mediterranean Theater of Operations.
That's the recording. That record album was in. Now, my father died when I was 5 months old. He was 38 years old. He died of a heart attack, and at home one morning, and it was reportedly, I think the VA said it was related, and so on. But 38 years old, he had myself, my 3 older brothers were born before I was because they're my older brothers. And my mother at the age of 32 was widowed with 4 boys under the age of 5, from 5 months old to 5 years old. And that got things going, that got things rolling. And I'm named Plant because my mother remarried. I was Chris Orteig until I was 5 years old. And my older brothers until they were 10 years old and 9 years old and 7 years old. We were all Orteigs, and my mother was Barbara Orteig. And then when I was 5 years old, my mother remarried Bill Plant. They were working together at WISN TV in Milwaukee at the time. They were both on television at the time. And we moved back to New York, and my mother married Bill Plant. And that's how I got the name Plant. Otherwise, you know, I'd still be Christopher Orteig, and I would have been syndicated much sooner, don't you think? Because get a little of that going. But it's a great recording. And again, Kevin posted it just a short time ago on our various social media things, on Rumble and on Facebook and on Twitter. And so you can, it runs whatever it is, 3.5 minutes or something like that. And there are photographs now that many of them family photographs. Some of them I found on Al Gore's amazing internet. I actually found pictures there. There's an Admiral Durgan briefing a bunch of pilots in the ready room, and I found that on the internet. And I have 3. I zoomed in on it twice, And I found that on Al Gore's Amazing Internet. It's an old Navy photo. And my father is looking at him like he's not very happy about the discussion that they're having. But it's good stuff. I think it's fun. And I have a personal stake in it, of course. But if I didn't know who the person was, I would still say, wow, that's pretty cool stuff. And I do think that this recording should be in the Navy Museum or something. It should be somewhere, the World War II Museum in New Orleans or something like that, because it's good stuff. Haven't seen a lot of it. And I still have they're called transcriptions. They're like record albums, but they're cardboard with a laminate. And I think I mentioned last week that you put them on your record player, and you put the 78 RPM, there's 78 RPM, and you put the needle in the center, and it plays to the outside, rather than putting the needle on the outside and it playing to the center, which is pretty wacky too. So that's my D-Day +1 contribution to our World War II veterans, and God bless them all, saluting them all. 22 years old at the time he was. And by the way, he didn't go by Jules. He went by Bud and Buddy. Bud and Buddy. And everybody, I actually met a nice woman who's a listener to this radio show, lives in Virginia, Dita Calderosa. Dita Calderosa was a friend of my father's. She was listening to the radio show one day years ago, and I played that recording. And she called in and said, I can't believe that was your father. He was a great friend of mine. And Dita Calderosa is a great friend of mine now, and we go out to brunch and things, and it just couldn't be more fun. All right, and let's see. There's a lot of stuff to get to, and I still have so many things. Yeah, let's do that. We're gonna go to break a little early, and haven't decided yet. May come back to calls. I love this story on the front page of the Washington Post today. D.C. woman wins lawsuit over odor of marijuana. In Cleveland Park, about a mile and a half from the radio station, this guy smoking dope in his basement apartment of this. The woman lives next door. It's row houses. And this guy rents the basement apartment. He's a restaurant manager. He's got medical marijuana, and he smokes dope. You know, he comes home, he smokes dope every night, and he says, I'm just relaxing, man. And the lady said, you can't do that. You're stinking up my house with your dope. And it went to court, and the lady won. And now he can't smoke dope in his own house anymore. What kind of country is this, anyway? Now, because I came in with so much stuff today, I'm not going to get to Chris Christie's big announcement yesterday, where you see the memes going around. President Trump tweeted out a meme of Chris Christie making his announcement at a buffet. So making fun of the Chris Christie. I watched the beginning of it yesterday, of the Chris Christie announcement, but it was 2 hours long, as it turns out. And some of the stuff about, how we're becoming small in our debates and things. Oh, yeah, I basically agreed with that. Then he went after President Trump, probably a bad idea, but he did that anyway. And it's, he's going out of his way to assail President Trump and make him the target. Also, the Live PGA Golf Tour coming together. That's pretty funny. They condemned the Saudi ownership and Khashoggi's killing and dismemberment and their human rights record. And now they're in bed together. Now they're doing the thing together, Live and PGA Golf. It's a little bit funny. So we got that going. And I'm not going to get to the UFO guy, the Air Force UFO guy. I've got to say, he's an interesting guy. I'm not convinced. I'm just not convinced. He's not an Air Force officer, former intelligence agency guy. Yeah, we have spaceships from other planets and dead bodies from inside, alien bodies, like Independence Day, Plausible deniability. Right?
We have spacecraft from another species.
We do, yeah.
How many?
Quite a number.
You're
Quite
kidding.
A number.
No.
No, I'm not kidding. I'm unconvinced. I'm unconvinced. Now, he's opened a can of worms, and I think it's a fun can of worms, and it's a can of worms that should be opened. But I still don't. I'm not there with him. So let's see. What else am I not getting to? I'm not getting. Oh, I wanted to do in Portland. There's an Anne Frank impersonating drag queen transgender activist from Portland, Oregon that was arrested in Virginia for murder. That just, that's all you need to say, right? It turns out that the Anne Frank impersonating drag queen transgender activist is a Democrat. That's all we need to know. All right, let's, I wanted to spend time on that story, but we got too much stuff because too many Democrats are on the loose out there. Oh, yeah, and the Dallas Pride Festival for all ages sells sex toys, edible penises, and graphic Disney art, and Disney's probably fine with it. All right, so we've got, that's your Democrat Party. This really, today has been a summary of the Democrat Party. Hotels fleeing San Francisco because of the crime, and the city continues to spiral. It's on its way to hell. The zombie apocalypse dystopia. Let's go to the phones. Let's go to Mike calling from Herndon, Virginia. Michael, you're on the Chris Plante Show.
Yes, Chris. God bless you, and God bless what's left of America and civilization itself.
Yep. You betcha.
So I called into your call screener. I've called radio stations and whatnot and so forth for probably a good 15 years or more. A lot of times people don't understand what I try to explain to them, that there is a conspiratorial group of people that have been trained and taught and schooled and brainwashed in America by the Cloward-Piven process. They were Cloward and Piven were professors there at Harvard, Amherst, and BU in Boston, Massachusetts, and whatnot. They are the ones that have trained and schooled Obama, Biden, the Clintons, any of these congressmen, congresswomen, people in society that went to these universities, that spent time enough, such as that they espouse to the dictates of back all the way to Karl Marx.
Well, let me pause you. Let me pause you there for a second, Mike, because we have audio today of a teacher at a school board meeting in California yesterday who was promoting the LGBTQ thing for kids, and part of her speech was this, Mike.
I work at the Children's Hospital Los Angeles with queer and trans youth in large groups, and so I deal with a lot of their trauma related to the heteronormative, Judeo-Christian, patriarchal, imperialist, capitalist system that oppresses them.
I think that's more or less what you're talking about. And